Good day, everybody, and what's up? Welcome to the podcast for Selfless Sex and She Comes First. My name is Dr. Nick Myers, sitting here on March the 29th, around 4:30 in the afternoon, the last weekend in March 2020 already. Damn, April's just here. And April Fool's Day is going to be a motherfucker this year with all this coronavirus stuff that's going on out there. So I hope everyone is being safe and social distancing the best that they possibly can. I know some people still have to go to work, like me, and it's rough out there. You know, my hands smell like bleach, and it's rough. And not get the virus and not spread the virus, you don't know. It's a mess out there. So I just hope everyone is being safe. And as I said before, I hope everyone stocked up well. You know, if you're stuck in the house, you stocked up well with your condoms, your birth control pills, your batteries for the sex toys, or whatever you're using. But there's one thing I forgot to put on that list, and that's lubricant. Why? Because lubricant can be a game changer. And it's not saying that your lady isn't turned on enough or anything like that. No, lubricant has many uses. So you know what? Let's talk about lube today. As you may or may not know, there are several different types of lubricants out there. So, to get this conversation started, I'm going to talk about water-based lubricants first. And these are kind of known as the versatile lubricants because they can be used in many different situations. So first, right off the bat, they are safe to use with condoms, and actually they are known to help decrease the chance of a condom breaking, which is really important. As for cleanup, they clean up fairly easy. You can just put things in the washing machine or just use soap and water or just water to wipe them off, and they will pretty much go away. Also, they are pretty easy on the skin, and they typically will not stain sheets either, which is a good thing. So when it comes to price, you can get an 8-ounce bottle of water-based lubricant for about $8 to $10 maybe. Or I will rephrase that, a high-quality water-based lubricant for about maybe $10 to $12. And to be honest, these are not known to last all night through marathon sessions of sex. So you have to reapply them when needed. And it's just that simple. So if you keep like a small bottle by your headboard or on your nightstand or wherever or under your pillow, you should be good to go. If you notice it starts to dry out for whatever you're doing, just put a few more drops back in there and have fun. Next, I want to talk about silicone-based lubricants. And in contrast to water-based lubricants, these are known to be long-lasting. So in other words, you only need a few drops, and these can last throughout your marathon section. And if you feel the need to add more, you only need to add a drop or two, and you should be fine. Because silicone lubes need to be applied less often. And also, silicone-based lubricants really shine if there's water involved. Meaning, if you're having sex in the shower, you will definitely notice a difference between the water-based lubricants and the silicone-based lubricants. Because the water-based lubricant can be washed away, where in contrast, the silicone-based lubricant is going to hang around for a while. And yes, there is a cost that comes with this as well, because a small, tiny bottle of silicone-based lubricant can easily cost you around $30, especially if it's the higher quality stuff. So, and more importantly, you cannot use silicone-based lubricant with silicone sex toys. Why? Because it starts to break down the silicone-based sex toy. And what happens is that the silicone-based sex toy will start to get like little crevices in it and things like that, which turns into breeding grounds for bacteria, especially if the sex toy is not cleaned properly. So you really want to keep those two things separate. But overall, silicone-based lubes are not a bad investment. Well, believe it or not, oil-based lubricants are still around. And yes, they are very long-lasting, very slick, and they do not need to be applied as often. but there are some serious downsides with using an oil-based lubricant. So number one, you cannot use latex condoms with oil-based lubricants. Why? Because the oil-based lubricants actually break down the latex of latex condoms. That means you would have to use a condom made out of something else like polyurethane, and those things are about $6 a piece. Very expensive. And also, using oil-based lubricants, they are also associated with a high rate of bacteria infections for the vagina, like bacteria vaginosis or even yeast infections. So while there are a few upsides to using an oil-based lube, the downsides pretty much outnumber them by any means. So in other words, you may just want to stay away from oil-based lubricants and use a high-quality water-based lubricant or even a silicone-based lubricant. And finally, I have to mention hybrid lubrication and natural lubrication. So a hybrid lube is pretty much the combination of different types of lubricants. For example, they are now combining water-based lubes and silicone-based lubes and silicone-based lubes with oil-based lubes and oil-based lubes with water-based lubes, and that may sound weird, but et cetera, et cetera. You get the picture, right? Good. And what's interesting about these types of lubricants is that they bring along some of the benefits of the two different types of lube, but at the same time, they also bring with them the negative parts of the combinations. You see what I'm saying? So if you're using a silicone-based lube that's combined with an oil-based lube, that means you still cannot use silicone-based sex toys, and you also cannot use latex condoms. You see how that works? So that's just some food for thought right there. I also have to mention these natural lubes now that are starting to appear on the market. And you may have seen them. Some are an aloe-based lubrication and also coconut oil. And me personally, I am a bigger fan of coconut oil than any of the other natural lubricants that are out there. Coconut oil is still an oil, which means you cannot use latex condoms with it. At the same time, coconut oil is naturally antibiotic and it's also naturally antifungal. So there are those two properties that I really do appreciate in a lube. So you really have to check with your partner to see how she's going to respond to them. Just to be completely transparent here, coconut oil has been related to yeast infections because it has the ability to throw off the woman's natural pH balance of her vagina. So you really need to be careful about that and be careful which type of coconut oil you use, of course, because you cannot just walk into the store and buy any old coconut oil and start throwing it on your genitals and having sex. No, there's a certain type, and a certain type is this. It has to be pure, unrefined, cold-pressed, 100% organic, extra virgin coconut oil. If you use anything else, it may have chemicals in it, and therefore it's not natural. You see what I'm saying? So you have to be careful what type of natural products you're going to use as a sex lubricant. So you may actually have to take the time to read the ingredients to see what's in there, because in many cases, these quote-unquote natural sex lubes are not all that natural. Also, before I go, I just want to leave you with 2 quick points. Number 1, you have to find a sex lube that works for you. Meaning that not all sex lubes are created equal. Some are cheap, some are just overpriced, some have scents or whatever, but you have to find one that works the best for you. Like, for example, you may like using silk, but the truth is Astroglide could be your best bet. And also, you have to find a sex lube that works for what you are doing. Let's say you are using a flavored lubricant to give a blowjob, which is fine, but you may not want to use that same lubricant for vaginal sex or for anal sex because it has sugar in it, which can lead to a serious vaginal infection or a serious bacterial infection. And also for anal sex, you may want to use a silicone-based lube because it's slicker. And at the same time, I cannot recommend using a numbing lube for anal sex at all. I don't care how much they cost. I don't care what brand name they are. I cannot co-sign on people using a numbing lubricant for anal sex. Why? Because the truth is, you really need to be aware of what's going on during anal sex. Because first off, it's supposed to be pleasurable. So if you can't feel it, how are you going to feel it? Because you're numb. And also, truth be told, if you're using a numbing lube, the penis also goes numb too. So nobody's feeling nothing. But more importantly, if there's any sort of pain going on back there, you need to be aware of it because there could be blood. And that's the truth. I have to say this honestly and truthfully. Please do not use any sort of numbing lube when you're engaging in any type of anal play. So in closing, I just want to say that I hope everyone is being safe out there. And I understand what happens when people have to shelter in place with their partner and they have sex a lot. That's why I will say it again. I hope you have enough condoms. I hope you have enough birth control pills. I hope you have enough batteries to see yourself through until everything calms down and returns to normal. And that could be several days, several weeks, or even several months. But at the same time, you may have to run out to the store and invest in a high quality lube. So on that note, I hope everyone is safe out there. Stay tuned, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.